Did you know that unexplained itching in certain parts of the body might be your body's subtle way of signaling cancer? Many people ignore the occasional itch, but in older adults, especially those over 60, itching in specific regions may point to more than just dry skin or simple irritation. It could be an early warning sign you shouldn't overlook. In this video, we'll reveal 5 very specific areas where itching may suggest cancer, sometimes long before any other symptoms appear. These aren't just random spots. These are consistent patterns observed by doctors and patients who were later diagnosed with serious conditions like lymphoma, pancreatic cancer, and even breast or skin cancer. Watch till the end, because we won't just name the body parts, you'll discover the reasons behind each location, which cancers they're linked to, and how to distinguish between a harmless itch and something more concerning. You'll come away with a clearer sense of what to watch for, what questions to ask your physician, and what steps to take if one of these signs seems familiar. Most importantly, this isn't about creating fear, it's about staying alert. The sooner you catch these subtle clues, the greater your chances of detecting something early, while it's still manageable. Let's get started. First up, persistent itching on the lower legs. If someone over 60 begins noticing constant itching around the shins or calves, without a rash, dryness, or any new soaps or lotions, it's easy to blame it on aging. But this exact symptom has appeared quietly in many individuals who were later diagnosed with blood cancers like lymphoma. This isn't a typical itch that fades in a few minutes. It tends to persist, often worsening at night, and doesn't go away with moisturizers like dry skin usually does. The reason lies in how diseases such as Hodgkin's lymphoma affect your immune system. Originating in the lymphatic system, a vital part of your body's defense and fluid drainage system. As cancer cells grow, they begin to release certain inflammatory substances into the bloodstream. One of the most frequent effects of these substances is a deep, almost burning itch that tends to appear in the lower limbs. Even though the skin may look completely normal, the nerves beneath the surface are being irritated from within. Take the case of George, age 75, who spoke at a local cancer awareness seminar. He described how, for almost half a year, his only symptom was a relentless itch on the front of his legs. At first, his doctor thought it was eczema or perhaps a reaction to laundry detergent. But blood work showed unusual white cell counts, and scans later found enlarged lymph nodes in his chest. That's when the true cause became clear. The itch came first, George explained, long before anything else showed up. His experience isn't unique. While not every itchy leg signals cancer, what matters is how the itch behaves. If there's no visible rash, no new products, no bites, and the discomfort lasts for weeks, it's time to look deeper, especially if it's accompanied by subtle symptoms like fatigue, night sweats, or unexplained weight loss. For older individuals, this kind of insight is even more vital. As we grow older, the body's warning signs often become less direct. Pain may not appear right away. Lumps may form too deep to detect, but nerves still sense the internal disturbance. A persistent, internal, restless itch can be the first sign of that disturbance. If you or a loved one has been scratching your legs nightly, applying creams with no relief, and wondering why nothing helps, don't brush it off. Speak with a healthcare provider. Ask for blood tests. Share your observations. Because sometimes, the body speaks in a whisper long before it raises its voice, and paying attention early can change everything. Now, on to sign 2, itching between the shoulder blades or upper back. This is a very specific kind of itch that tends to develop deep in the upper back, right between the shoulder blades, and is often dismissed as dry skin, bad posture, or irritation from a shirt tag. But in many older adults, persistent itchiness in this precise location, especially when it feels like it's coming from under the skin, has been associated with pancreatic cancer. Odd as it may sound, this type of itch can emerge months before any abdominal pain or digestive symptoms become noticeable. Here's why. As pancreatic tumors begin to develop, they can block the bile ducts, tiny channels that carry bile from the liver into the intestines. When this drainage becomes sluggish or completely halted, bile salts begin to build up in the blood. One of the earliest effects of this excess bile is irritation of nerve endings, particularly in places like the back, where sensory nerves are densely concentrated. I recall a woman named Linda, age 70, who described what she called a phantom itch on her upper back. She would wake up scratching every single night. Nothing seemed to work: lotions, back scratchers, even replacing her mattress. She said the itch felt like it came from within, not the surface. When she eventually had blood tests due to unrelated fatigue, doctors noticed her liver enzyme levels were unusually high. That prompted further scans, and they uncovered a small tumor in her pancreas pressing against the bile duct. The unsettling part? That itch was her only real clue. No abdominal pain, no yellowing of her skin, just a persistent internal itch she couldn't ignore. The only reason her cancer was caught early is because she spoke up, even though it felt like a minor issue. This is what makes that part of the back so significant. General back itchiness can come from dry skin, clothing friction, or posture. But if the itch is persistent, concentrated in one spot, and doesn't improve with skin remedies, especially when paired with darker urine, pale stools, or fatigue, it might be a sign of something more internal. In these cases, the back ends up signaling an issue originating deep in the gut. For older individuals, these subtle signs are easy to overlook. We tend not to want to overreact or draw attention, but your body knows how to communicate discomfort, even if it starts with a simple itch. When that message repeats, it's worth investigating. If you're still watching and finding these points useful, type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't yet subscribed, consider hitting the button and turning on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us keep making helpful, insightful content. Now, let's continue. Sign 3, an itchy scalp without visible flakes or dandruff. An itchy scalp might seem unimportant. In many cases, especially in older adults, it's blamed on dry air, aging skin, or a shampoo that doesn't suit you. But when the itching persists, and there's no flaking, redness, or dryness, it can be a signal of something happening deeper inside the body, including blood cancers like leukemia or skin cancers of the scalp. What sets this itch apart is how it feels. It's more of a tingling, burning, or crawling sensation than simple dryness. This type of itch can shift locations across the scalp and often doesn't respond to usual solutions like anti-dandruff shampoos or moisturizing oils. In adults over 60, these strange sensations may reflect nerve irritation caused by abnormal immune system activity, something that happens when leukemia cells begin multiplying in the bloodstream and altering the body's inflammatory responses. I recall a man named Henry, age 73, who shared his experience. He noticed that his scalp began itching every afternoon. At first, he switched hair products. Then he suspected his hat might be to blame. But even after changing shampoos and going without hats entirely, the irritation stayed. When he finally had a comprehensive blood test done due to ongoing fatigue, doctors discovered elevated white blood cell levels. A bone marrow biopsy later confirmed early-stage chronic lymphocytic leukemia. The itching on his scalp had been his body's first and only clue. This matters because many older adults already deal with mild dryness or sensitive skin, and so a symptom like scalp itching gets dismissed as normal. But what sets a cancer-related itch apart is how stubborn it is. No lotion helps. No product provides relief. It sticks around, it nags, and it often feels like it's coming from below the surface rather than the skin itself. While leukemia is one possibility, skin cancer on the scalp, especially in thinning hair areas, can also begin with nothing more than a small, itchy spot. Sometimes it looks like a dry patch or a tiny bump. But if it continues to itch in the same location and refuses to heal, it should be examined by a dermatologist using proper lighting. Because we can't easily inspect our own scalp, it's smart to ask a spouse, family member, or even a hairdresser to check the area periodically. If you've been feeling a persistent itch for several weeks and none of your remedies are working, take it seriously. Especially if you've also noticed increased fatigue, unexplained bruising, or just a general sense that something in your body feels off, that's a signal worth listening to. It might seem like a minor issue, but sometimes it's the quiet, stubborn symptoms that carry the most weight. Sign 4. Focused itching on the chest or breast region. When older individuals, especially women, though men as well, notice an ongoing itch on the chest or around the breast, particularly near the nipple or just under the breast fold, it's easy to blame it on sweat, a tight-fitting shirt, or thinner skin from aging. But this particular area is one of the most commonly missed zones where itchiness may point to something more serious, such as inflammatory breast cancer or tumors developing near the chest wall. What sets this sign apart is that it frequently shows up before any lump is detectable. The skin may feel warm, tight, or irritated. There may be a slight texture change, thicker skin, a rougher patch, or a faint red hue. Yet, in many cases, there's nothing visible, just a persistent, internal itch that no amount of lotion seems to ease. One story I remember is of Ruth, age 69, who began feeling an unusual itch on her right breast. She swapped bras, changed detergents, even went without a bra for days, thinking it was just fabric irritation. But the same spot kept itching, day after day. Eventually, she saw her doctor, who noticed faint skin dimpling and ordered further imaging. They discovered a small but aggressive tumor near the surface of the skin, without the typical lump that people expect. This is what makes inflammatory breast cancer particularly dangerous. It often breaks the usual rules. It might resemble a rash. It spreads quickly. And its earliest warning is often irritation, not pain. That's why an itch that stays in one place, doesn't improve with creams, and repeats itself daily needs to be taken seriously, especially in the chest or breast area. For men, this can be even easier to overlook. While male breast cancer is rare, it happens. And often gets missed because the signs don't match the usual expectations. A patchy itch near the nipple, thickened skin, or a lingering discomfort under the chest muscle might seem minor, but for someone in their later years, it's worth checking. And there's more. This kind of symptom isn't always from the breast itself. It can also stem from swollen lymph nodes under the arms or below the collarbone, possibly linked to lymphoma or other nearby cancers. If the itch comes with swelling, warmth, or a feeling of pressure in the area, don't ignore it. Early detection doesn't always begin with tests, it begins with paying attention. Because your skin can't speak in words, but it does send signals, and this is one of the most crucial signs you shouldn't ignore. If you're still watching and finding this information helpful, please type number 4 in the comments to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Your support allows us to keep creating quality content that informs and inspires. Now, let's move on to sign 5, persistent itching in the anal or genital area. Few things are more uncomfortable, and more frequently overlooked, than itching in these private regions. It's an awkward topic, especially for older adults, and many prefer to ignore it rather than talk openly. But when this itching becomes chronic, without a clear cause like poor hygiene, infections, or irritation, it might be trying to alert you to something far more serious. In some cases, ongoing itchiness in this area can be an early, subtle symptom of anal, vulvar, or even penile cancer. What makes this kind of itch particularly dangerous is how easily it disguises itself as something minor. People often assume it's just dry skin, irritation from toilet paper, friction from walking, or even a reaction to incontinence pads. And often it is. But if it persists for weeks or months, returns despite cleaning, treatments, and moisturizing, and starts feeling more raw or burning beneath the surface, it needs closer attention. I recall a man named Eugene, 76, who suffered from what he believed was hemorrhoid discomfort for nearly a year. He tried creams, adjusted his diet, even used cold packs, but the itch never fully disappeared. Eventually, a colorectal specialist performed a scope exam and discovered a small lesion on the anal canal wall. It was an early-stage tumor. Something that would have silently grown if he hadn't trusted his instincts that something wasn't right. The same applies to women. Vulvar cancer is rare but becomes more common after 60. One of its earliest signs is recurring itching on or near the outer genital area. There may not be a lump, but the skin can become rougher, discolored, or thinner than usual. Many older women assume it's hormonal or due to postmenopausal dryness, and sometimes it is. But if the itch is relentless, worsens at night, and doesn't respond to usual treatments, don't dismiss it. This area is rich with nerve endings, highly sensitive, and often signals internal changes before more obvious symptoms appear. Whether it's changes in skin cells, nerve inflammation, or swelling of nearby lymph nodes, persistent itching in this region, especially if it's on one side or focused in a small spot, can be a warning sign. Yet many hesitate to speak up out of embarrassment or fear of overreacting. But staying silent is far riskier than asking questions. Speaking up about an itch might be the key to early diagnosis, better treatment options, and peace of mind. The main takeaway: if an itch lingers, don't just assume it's nothing. Let a healthcare professional examine it. Because catching something early, even a serious illness like cancer, often begins by noticing a small, subtle sign and deciding not to ignore it. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, I want to remind you of a simple truth: your body is always trying to communicate. Sometimes it does so through pain, other times through tiredness, but often it starts with something tiny and easy to overlook, like a persistent itch that keeps appearing in the same spot. The 5 areas we covered today, the lower legs, upper back, scalp, chest, and genital region, aren't random. These are places where serious internal problems, including certain cancers, often send their earliest quiet warnings. For older adults, paying attention to these signals can make the difference between early detection and letting something grow unnoticed. There's no need to live in fear, that's not the purpose of this message. It's about empowering you to trust your instincts and understand that what may seem like a minor symptom could be your body's way of asking for help. If any of these signs sounded familiar, don't ignore them. Talk to your doctor. Start the conversation. You deserve answers, and you deserve peace of mind. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below sharing one key takeaway and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your feedback means a lot to us and encourages us to keep creating helpful content. If you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Your support helps us continue producing content that informs and inspires. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.